Hi, Mika. So I'm happy that you managed to write your last set of essays. I know your exam is tomorrow, so I wanted to get this back to you so that you could get some feedback on this as well. So let's take a look at this map. Let's see. The two maps illustrate how, mm, well, when you say the small island, you assume that your reader already knows what island you're talking about. And that's not the case here because you're just introducing it now. So it should be the two maps illustrate how a small island developed over time. Where is your overview? Here we go. Overall, the island was fully developed. People enjoy the sea and the lake. Okay. Let's see. There were only trees on the island to start with before. You can't say before the civilization. What you could say is before construction. That would have been okay without the. The island is approximately 200 meters long from the west end to the east end. Okay. The infrastructure was built across the island with footpaths and vehicle tracks to connect the two accommodation areas for people's convenience. There are three new buildings almost at the center of the island. The two areas of accommodation, don't say houses, are located each side of the main buildings. The 6 houses are right in front of the beach on the west side of the island, whereas the 8 houses on the other side are next to the lake. Additionally, a pier, because again, you're introducing it to us, so you shouldn't assume that we know what pier you're talking about. A pier was built from the center of the island. Well, that's not really true because you know what that means, the center of the island? That means like right here where that mall is. So be careful with that expression. So a pier was built along the southern shore of the island to get on boats. Some of the trees were cut down. Again, it should be some trees were cut down to clear the land to build accommodations. The vehicle tracks connect between the pier, 3 buildings, and accommodation. Overall, the island was fully developed. People would enjoy the sea and the lake. Okay. You mentioned a lot of stuff. You didn't mention everything. Let's talk about what you didn't mention. For example, you didn't mention that the lake was man-made. And that's pretty important because we don't have the lake here. And that's the other thing I want to talk to you about. You didn't really talk about what the island looked like beforehand. You only referred to this. Now, why is that a problem? Because the way you described it, it's as if this doesn't exist. And for them to have it there, they want you to refer to it. You're supposed to be providing some sort of comparison. Otherwise, they wouldn't have included this image at all, and they just would have given you this. So, a good rule of thumb when you have something like this is devote a little time, maybe a paragraph or so, a tiny paragraph if need be, to the before section. So just like before any sort of development, the island had some scattered trees throughout its area, I don't know, and there was a beach on the west end of the island. That's it, okay? And then you could talk about the 2 meters long, etc., etc. Then, after infrastructure was built, the island, and then you can get into all that description. For me, this, you should have mentioned that it was man-made. And then what else was it? I felt like, you know what I didn't like? I didn't like this. Where was it? Oh, some trees were cut down to clear the land to build accommodations. I didn't like where you placed it. I think that that should have been elsewhere. Maybe over here, okay? And then you could talk about that more in detail. So, I mean, it was fine. It wasn't like a low scoring task 1, of course not. But I mean, there were some details that I wanted to see written a little better. Okay, let's take a look at your task 2. Okay, so let's take a look now at this. Green energy. Experts throughout both developing and developed countries have debated whether green energy is able to take over the traditional way of generating energy. Know that here. Some people believe that green energy is a good source of energy, which is cost effective and environmentally friendly, whereas others argue that the traditional method is more stable and provides many employment opportunities. Okay. Let's look at this sentence. I didn't like green energy, good source of energy. This is a missed opportunity for some good cohesion. So some people believe that green energy is a good source, which is cost effective and environmentally friendly, and then it's implied that you mean a source of energy. And I don't really understand this. What is employment opportunities have to do with anything in the essay? So I don't know why you're introducing this element here, okay? So, in my opinion, although there are some issues to improve, green energy should definitely be the main energy source in the future. This essay will argue how green energy has a greater benefit to our society than traditional sources, using examples from Oxford University and WHO to demonstrate viewpoints and prove arguments. Okay, that's fine. Let's see. One little thing here is you've used the expression green energy a ton in this paragraph. I mean, we can count it. 1, 2, 3, 4. There might even be a fifth time. That's really quite a bit. I'm wondering if you could have used some alternatives here, like renewable sources of energy or environmentally friendly energy sources or something else, or just use cohesive devices like pronouns, like ellipsis. There are other ones that are available, so that you don't repeat the same expression so many times. All right, it just becomes a little repetitive. Let's see what you wrote further down. On the one hand, there is ample evidence that green energy will have a positive impact on our society in the long term. The central reason behind this is twofold. Firstly, it has a low cost generation. Get rid of the A. It is unnecessary to employ many people to run the coal mine. I'm confused. And power stations. I see. So it has low cost generation. This is because it does not require does not require employing many people to run it, as with coal mines and power stations. Okay, so you're creating this comparison here, but that wasn't clear. So you need to fix this a little bit. Okay. Secondly, green energy is much better for our environment. Look, green energy. So use some cohesion here. This is any type of energy generated from natural resources, such as sun, water, and wind, created by windmills, solar power systems, and hydroelectric generators. All right, don't hit return. Keep it as one paragraph. Recent data from Oxford University clearly prove that green energy doesn't produce CO2 emissions, like traditional methods, Therefore, it is conclusively clear that green energy has a greater benefit than the traditional way of producing energy. Okay, fine. So, some little problems with this paragraph, but nothing, like earth-shattering. It just needs a little work. On the other hand, although there is a case for what? I'm confused. Let's see. On the other hand, although there is a case for traditional energy generation is more consistent for securing energy, whereas green energy has to rely a lot on natural resources such as wind, sun, and water, the impact of environment cannot be overstated. Okay, this sentence really has to be completely rewritten. It's way too long, and I didn't understand it. I understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to introduce this sentence where you rephrase something from the previous paragraph, but then you introduce what the new paragraph is about. And this can be a really, really effective thing to do, but it does require a little bit of finesse. And here there was a problem with the overall meaning. So let's talk about this a little bit. Hold on one second. Let's look again what this essay is supposed to talk about. You're supposed to talk about how green energy is good for the environment and reduces costs. So you talked about that here. Therefore, this new paragraph is supposed to be talking about how green energy is a threat to energy security. It doesn't look like you're talking about that. Okay? It doesn't look like you're talking about that at all from what I can see here. So it looks to me at a first glance that it's off topic. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I want to rewrite this sentence, but we also have to make it appropriate to what you're supposed to be writing. So let me see if I can just come up with something kind of off the cuff. On the other hand, although there is a case for green energy's environmental friendliness and low cost, the problems that it presents in terms of energy security cannot be overstated. That's what you're supposed to be talking about here. And then this is supposed to go into how, some people say that green energy doesn't offer energy security. So if you're not sure what that means, definitely look it up, become familiar with the term. And then, like I said, this is all kind of problematic. Let's see what you wrote, though. This is largely because the issue of the environmental impact by energy generation has grown in importance over the last decades in many countries. Recent studies by WHO argue that traditional energy generation is responsible for 70% of climate change. Thus, it's possible to state beyond doubt that green energy is a greater source of energy during. No. Okay, yeah, so this is really off topic. You were supposed to talk about how there are concerns that even though green energy is wonderful in so many ways, that it cannot be produced reliably and sufficiently to cover the needs of society. Also, it's not available at a low cost. So these were things that you needed to talk about in this paragraph. Okay. From the arguments S and examples S given, I firmly believe that the growth of green energy generation, get rid of the, is definitely the better change in future. The government should provide, let's see, no, don't use the word huge budget, just say funding. Should provide funding to improve green energy sectors to protect our environment. It is predicted that green energy production will increasingly grow. Okay. So yeah, I mean, this obviously had some problems, Mika. I think you're aware of what they are. So now I know that your exam is tomorrow. My advice to you would be to review everything that we've done, both in the course and through these essay corrections. Review. I know your exam is tomorrow. There's going to be a link in the email providing, new essays if you wanted to purchase an essay package with your exam tomorrow. I don't think you'll have time to take advantage of that. You may just want to use this day to review. And then, if for some reason things don't go the way you want them to with your exam, you can revisit the essay package. We're here to help you. I want to wish you tons and tons of luck tomorrow. I know you've been working very hard these past several days. So lots of luck. Just keep, remembering all the things that we talked about. If you have any questions, I'll be checking my email, so don't worry. Ask me any questions that you might have. And please keep us posted. Let us know about your exam, okay? Best of luck to you.